welcome to the Art of Franchise Marketing. Each episode takes a deep dive into the franchise space and explores how the biggest and best brands handle national branding, franchise development, employee recruitment, and localized marketing on a daily basis. This podcast is brought to you by NetSertive, a localized digital marketing partner for franchise networks. NetSertive talks shop with franchise executives to discuss what's working, what's not, and answers the question, what else can you be doing to excel at the art of franchise marketing?
Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Art of Franchise Marketing. I'm your host, Erin Martin, and this episode is brought to you by NetSertive. Today, our guest is Steven Shortino, the CEO of iSmash, a franchise brand that offers rage rooms, splatter paint sessions, and axe throwing. Steven, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me here, Erin. I love talking about this stuff and look forward to sharing all things iSmash.
I love it. I'm excited to pick your brain because I know you guys just signed your 100th location. And to just jump right in, I know you did it without brokers, which I'm sure people want to know all about how that was achievable and how you got there.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not that we have anything against brokers or FSOs or anything. It was more of just the fact that we didn't particularly need to go down that route. So ended up just here with all of the franchises and the units that we've sold, and it's awesome to see that the interest in the brand is what it is, because I think that there's a lot of brands that they really have to put a huge monumental effort behind their marketing efforts to get franchisees interested. Like they need a huge volume of people to get to that one yes where they can sell a franchise, where we seem to have kicked down that barrier a little bit. So definitely looking forward to talking about that.
Yeah, and maybe to start, bring us back to the beginning, because I know you've been there since the beginning to build the brand. So what did it look like initially, and then how did you scale from there?
Yeah, so I started with a single location in Rochester, New York. Franchising was never anything that I had thought about or really even considered. It was just one of those things that ended up happening. So I opened up that first store in 2018. I was pretty young at the time. I'm still pretty young today. And I had some initial early success that got me thinking about more locations. And that's when I opened up another store, corporate store in Syracuse in 2021. And it was at that point that we started to think about franchising too, just because we saw an opportunity to get iSmash into the franchise mix. There wasn't any competitors. The unit economics seemed to be quite strong, and we wanted to take advantage of being a first mover. And that's, in a very condensed version, how we have gotten here today. And the brand has obviously evolved quite a bit since I initially started it about 8 years ago.
And so what got you first into it? Did you go to a rage room? How did you even get into ownership yourself?
Yeah, I actually didn't visit a rage room. That's not what sparked it for me. It was actually a video online that someone showed to me. And I don't know why, everyone asks how I got into it. And for some reason, that video just clicked in my head. And I still to this day can't quite put my finger on it as to why it clicked like it did. But it just seemed to check a lot of boxes for me. And from all of the people who are looking to buy franchises, it seems to have checked a lot of boxes for them. Back when I was shown this video, it was very new. There was maybe 15 or 20 rage rooms in the US. I actually thought that it was stupid at first. I didn't think that it would be a viable business model at all. For some reason, though, I just kept thinking about it after I was first presented with it, and it intrigued me, and I kept looking more and more into it and saw that there was other venues and they were legitimate businesses. It wasn't just people running it out of their garage. These people had spaces and websites and seemingly happy customers with reviews. So I thought that there was some legitimacy to it, and there wasn't one anywhere around me. So I thought, why not? Let's do it.
Love it. And I'm curious too what the process to getting into franchising was like for you. I know there's some people that are exploring that or seasoned veterans and trying to grow the brand and get into franchising. And so what did those initial steps for you guys look like?
Yeah, so I was actually approached by somebody who had been in franchising for a while.
Okay.
He had worked with a couple of other brands, helping take them to market, because I had no clue what I was doing. And I think that I would advise anybody who is looking to franchise to try to find a way, whether it's a consultant or a mentor or a business partner, get somebody in there that understands franchising, because it really is its own animal. It's an entirely other business from whatever you're doing, whether you have a pizza shop, a plumbing service. Franchising is going to be considerably different than anything that you do in the actual line of business that your franchising is. So that was my start, with somebody approaching me and said, hey, this is an amazing idea, concept, a lot of opportunity here for franchising, and let's do it. And me being me, my ambitious self, of course, I wasn't going to say no to that.
Love it. And so I'm curious, a lot of our listeners are marketers, marketing leaders. So I know it sounds like the franchise units just sold themselves, but I'm sure there was a lot of hard work that actually went into it. So I'm curious on the marketing front, what you guys did first and what it looked like to build a brand over the 8 years.
Yeah, absolutely. When I started my initial location, I basically self-taught all of my marketing. I didn't hire somebody to come in and say, hey, market this business and grow this. I figured it all out and learned it myself just through research, watching videos, coaches, but it was all self-execution. And I took that same mindset and skill set over to the franchise space. I just started to research a ton of different stuff about brands that were exploding and getting a lot of franchise interest, and then brands that didn't seem like that they had it all buttoned up. And I think a lot of my hypothesis and data came from just talking to people who were looking to buy an iSmash franchise, just understanding what their motivations were, the things that they wanted to see, what made them more apt to want to buy into one brand versus another. What were those kind of levers that really made the difference for people as opposed to others?
Yeah. Are there any examples of those that stick out that you can remember? What the key levers were that some of those new owners were looking for?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that people really like some sort of differentiation in what you are doing versus your competition or just other people that are franchising. Because just from what I found with franchise buyers, most of them are browsing many different concepts. They're not just, oh, I found out about iSmash and now I want to franchise it. They usually set their mind out that they want to start a business and start a business through franchising, and they're typically browsing anywhere from 3 to sometimes upwards of 20 different concepts. So you really have to think about how can you stand out? What sort of differentiation can you portray to buyers? And I think really the biggest question that I don't think a lot of brands or people that are in franchise marketing try to ask themselves is, aside from the name and aside from the brand, what is this person getting that they could not get on their own? Is there something that you have, a process, a system, a vendor relation that person could not obtain on their own, or it would be extremely difficult? I think that is such a huge thing for buyers, is to, why do I need the franchise? Why can't I just go and spend $10,000 or $15,000 hiring consultants in this industry to tell me how to do it and then not have to pay any royalties or franchise fees?
Yeah, and the thing that's wild about today is now I see that differentiator doesn't just have to be the offering of your product or service to consumers anymore, of what you're going out there to the market with. It's also can be the internal technology, tech stack, whatever operations behind the scenes piece. And there's so much opportunity there in where we're going with AI and systems and operations that now all of a sudden there's so many different pieces of a brand that you're building that you have to be on top of. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for brands to really continue to lean into that playbook, the operations, technology piece as a differentiator to do something better in the market in turn. But you don't initially always just have to have something new, different, shiny. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think what it all comes down to at the end of the day is that people can say that they want to buy or start a franchise for any reason that they want, but everybody knows the psychology behind buying is all based on emotion. It's what is that franchise or business going to do for their life? How is it going to make them and the people around them, their families, feel if they can be successful with their franchise? So you can sit here and talk about initial investment, return on investment, top line revenue numbers. It all equates back to that emotional factor of what are they actually trying to accomplish by starting this franchise.
Yeah, which also that plays into, I think, a lot of the brand values as you grow a company. So it's okay if you sell this vision, you have this differentiator, how do you make sure that's entwined into the every fiber of your company, the values, the way you operate, ethos. So I'm curious for iSmash, like what are some key things that come to mind when you think about the core essence and values of your guys' brand that you developed over 8 years?
Yeah, absolutely. I think really one of the biggest things that people like about iSmash is just how involved I am as the founder. I'm not just the guy who's taking sales calls and maybe jumping in a leadership meeting here and there and maybe looking at some numbers. I'm actively working in and on this business basically every day. So when franchisees sign, it's not like they just stop hearing from me. If anything, they hear from me more. And that is just such a big differentiator from other brands where you buy in, there's a good chance that you will never even talk to who's making the decisions about the franchise and about your future. So the fact that people have direct access and input, to me, I know is a big deal because this is not a knock at private equity or anything. Private equity's done great for a lot of brands, but there's also been a lot of horror stories where these guys really hold their feet to the fire. When there is an issue, something goes wrong, they want to close down the business because it's not doing well and affecting their livelihood. A lot of times those companies will say, okay, we have liquidated damages, so give us 2 years of franchise fees. And this franchisee is over here, I'm about to go bankrupt, I'm about to lose my house. I can't pay you 2 years of fees. And some of the time they will say, yeah, not my problem. So I think just to summarize, going back to we are a family business too. My mom, my sister both work in the franchise. A lot of local people that I've known for a while work and help out iSmash. So I think just the overall culture and who they're dealing with and knowing that, hey, if there is an issue, I can basically get on the phone with the guy who's going to make the decision and he's going to try to solve it. Where, again, with other brands, you're going to be left high and dry a lot of the time. So again, I know that's very circumstantial for me, but I also do know how big of a factor for franchise buyers that is.
Yeah, that's huge. And I know you can't grow to 100 locations without having some structure and team and processes in place as well. So I'm curious, when you first started, just you owning 2 corporate stores and growing from there. So what does your structure look like now in terms of your marketing playbook, operations, like what you guys handle at the corporate level versus what you have franchisees be active in?
Yeah, I've always prided myself on having really good support, or for lack of a better words, customer service for franchisees. So we have a pretty extensive team. I've had other franchisors tell me that we over support, but really my goal, and I think that I'm close to have achieved it, is to have a process, a system, or a vendor for everything. So there is really no point in the business of opening or operating where the franchisee is going to say, I don't know who to use for this, because the brand doesn't have somebody. For us, the brand usually has somebody for everything. But as far as, let's just talk a little bit about support, because I think that this is another big thing that we do that is really enticing for new franchisees. Marketing. When I set out to franchise, I knew that I wanted to just replicate what I did in my corporate store in the franchises, which was digital marketing. That was the number one thing that drove traffic and sales to my business. So what we have done with our brand is internalized our digital marketing efforts. And franchisees pay us a nominal fee every month, and we basically handle almost everything on the digital front. We handle their paid ads, their social media, CRM management. We do email marketing, graphic design. We have a whole reporting dashboard. We can help them strategize with any other marketing related efforts. But I actually picked this up from Crumble's playbook, because Crumble actually does a lot of the marketing on behalf of their franchisees. And they've been able to scale incredibly well by doing that. So I think that the marketing front is definitely one of our biggest strong points, of just saying, hey, franchisee, we have a proven playbook for digital. Let us just handle that, and you focus on community outreach, boots in the ground marketing, local marketing that we're not going to be experts in, and we got the digital side of things. So I hope that kind of summarizes a lot of.
Oh yeah, I've got so many questions there though too. Do you guys have centralized call centers that also handle leads, or do you send the leads straight to franchisees to handle?
So we're not really a big lead gen business, to be honest. Most of the advertising is focused around awareness and just direct conversion. There is lead generation when it comes to parties and events, but again, the majority of the business is just awareness and conversion campaigns. Now, those leads typically are handled by the franchise owner. We've just found that most of the owners, when it is a big ticket event, they would much prefer to be the ones that are handling that, because there's a lot of nuance that's associated with those events, and certain things and discounts and additions and offers that you can give to people to entice them to want to book. So we found that system to work pretty well. And again, it's not like it's hundreds of leads a day. They might get anywhere from 10 to 30 leads a week for parties and events, which is more than manageable for them.
Yeah, nice. And yeah, it's interesting because I think you're living the dream that a lot of marketers have, is to centralize and have control of the marketing. But sometimes doing that can be super difficult. I think especially if something isn't working, which maybe you guys haven't faced, so that's why you're super successful in it as well, is I think it's hard for marketers to stick with the plan, say this is why it's best for us to be able to do the marketing on your behalf. And so then when franchisees get frustrated, they want more business or leads, or they see whatever not coming in, then oftentimes I'll see corporate teams then say, okay, like you go do what you think is best then, because they don't want to be on the hook to push that and force the investment if franchisees aren't feeling like they're seeing the results. So I so often see that tug and tear there. So to be able to centralize it and do it really well at the corporate office is awesome. So how do you guys do that? Is it a mix of in-house resources and experts on your team with partner vendors, or how do you guys go about doing everything?
Yeah, it was exactly like how you had said, which we have our team. I think we have 3 people in the marketing department plus myself. And one of them is the franchisee-facing marketing director. And then we do have internal vendors that handle a lot of the specified areas. For example, graphic designer, we have an SEO specialist, we have a Google Ads specialist, we have someone that specializes in creating videos, content management, someone that handles meta ads. So we've built this vendor list. And then in addition to that, the other cool thing that we've done on marketing-wise is we've built what's called a vendor village. And what that means is they're services that are not covered under our digital marketing program that we just offer to the franchisees. They're services that they can use to supplement their existing marketing efforts. But they are people that we've already vetted and services that we know are going to be effective. They're just a little bit too much cost-wise, and they're not really scalable to the point where we could just flat out offer them to franchisees. But yeah, just to summarize your question, it is a hybrid model between outsourced, specialized third-party help, and then management, triaging all of the information requests to the franchisees.
Yeah, and what are some of those add-ons that you provide? Is influencer marketing in there? That's one thing that comes to mind. Are you guys doing that? What are the add-ons involved?
Yeah, so add-ons would be, so we have a PR team that we have complimentary PR when our stores open. However, we have an ongoing PR package where if the location is doing some kind of event or offer, maybe centered around a holiday, our PR team will engage with them and help get local awareness for whatever they're doing. We also have a brochure distribution partner, which is a big thing for us. If you've ever seen those brochure stands at hotels or rest stops or airports,
Yeah.
they have a bunch of stuff to do. So we have a partner that does that. SMS marketing is another one. And you might think, well, that's scalable. It's actually very nuanced these days with all of the restrictions and opt in, opt out, sending to the right people, the right offer. So that's an add-on. And like you said, influencer in UGC is another. We have a company that will basically help connect them with local people in their market who will produce that content. So we're trying to just build this vendor village up to a point where it's very potent, strong, and I think that the only struggle is though is you kind of have to find someone that's national, and there's just a lot of brands that are businesses that offer those kind of services that are very regionalized.
Yeah, you need someone who's national that can go local for everything. Yep.
Exactly.
And which I love your approach too, because then basically there you have that requirement in place with the corporate services that you offer to get the foundations that are needed done correctly. And then from there, you can have some icing on the cake with some more investments. Because oftentimes I'll also see structured marketing programs where there's some key things not even being handled, like local listings or all these different things that are really foundational for digital marketing. So being able to just require those basics and then icing on the cake on top of that sounds like an awesome way to go.
Yeah, and so I'm also a founder that just happens to be heavily involved in the marketing. There's again, everyone has their strengths and their interests. There's some people that they just hand it off to a marketing team and whatever, they get updates. I'm actually very involved in the marketing side of things for the brand because it really is just so important for our locations. I almost make the joke we're basically a marketing company disguised as a smash room because it is undoubtedly the number one determinant for success for our franchisees is their ability to market and get the name out there.
Yeah, which I love too, because then you basically know your acquisition motion and how to go about it, which it sounds like can be paid, but also a lot of organic, which my brain just goes straight to your first story when you saw video. So I'm assuming that creative and video, when you talk about being heavily involved, that's where a lot of your brain goes. So I'm curious what your thoughts are on just content develop in general, especially in the changing search world with AI overviews, AEO, all those things going on, and then video as well. There's a lot that's moving in terms of content and how to disseminate it to reach the right people. So what are your kind of thoughts on that and content strategy and approach?
Yeah, so I've only been actively digitally marketing for 7 years, and I say only because there's people that have been doing it a lot longer than me. But I do think that the one thing that I have learned is that trends change, technological platforms change, consumer behavior is always adjusting, and it's really important if it's not going to be you, someone else on your team to be keeping up with what those trends are. Because I remember even when I started with my digital marketing, short form video content really didn't even exist yet. And now that's really what it is all about is short form video content. So I think it's just recognizing trends and leaning into those. Fortunately, we have a very visual brand. So we try to leverage the visual components of iSmash as much as possible. And usually if we can do that in terms of a video, that's going to pay the most dividends for us. So I think that you really do have to be always on the lookout for what's trending. If there's a trending TikTok, hey, whoever's generating content, we need to follow this TikTok trend because this is what people are watching and resonating with. Or, okay, like you said, like AEO, like how do we get ourselves to show up on these LLM systems when people are searching for birthday parties or things to do or rage rooms near me. So again, I think you really do have to be on top of it if you want to be successful in marketing.
Yeah, and I'm curious what your video content production schedule and cadence looks like. Do you guys just go around different locations and have a like true video production team for it? Is it a little more user generated content? Like how do you go about the video capture piece of it?
Yeah, so fortunately our corporate office is in Rochester and we have a store in Rochester. So usually most of the content comes from there because my corporate team is here. And fortunately I have some people on my team that already had a lot of experience just with content creation, videography, editing. So most of the content is coming from our Rochester location just because trying to travel out and do it at all these different stores would be pretty tough. But we do have some franchisees that are generating a lot of content. They'll hire people to run their social medias and we can leverage that content as well. I think that there's just, for us, it's a little bit more, not ad hoc, but we're definitely filming content, I would say, more than other brands. We're not just going to have one day where we shoot all of our content for the next 6 months. We will go in there and shoot our Valentine's Day promo. We'll go in there and shoot our December, our Christmas promotion, or if we need a content refresh. At this point, now that we've been open for however many years, we have so much of it. Not that we want to recycle content, but you can always remix, pull certain clips from certain places, and et cetera. So yeah, that's a little bit just about how we do it. I know that might not be the case for a lot of brands.
Yeah, and that's awesome. I think one thing I've seen too with a lot of video, especially on the organic social media side, is also just consistency is key. Like it can be so easy to post something and if you don't get a ton of views, get disheartened. But really the name of the game is also consistency to learn what resonates really well, how to capture someone in the first 2 seconds, and then be consistent. Don't stop. Just continue to learn and grow and you will get hits. You'll learn what gets sucked up the most. And I think that there's just so much there where you have to just stay the course before you would give up on a channel. So I'm curious for you guys, is there one or a mix of channels that's working best for you guys right now?
Yeah, and just to build on your point, and I know this goes back to something else you said with trends changing. Again, back when I got into digital marketing, there was a lot of people posting on Facebook, a lot of businesses advertising, but it is nowhere near what it is today. Every single business is advertising, is posting on Facebook. It's almost becoming a norm, and it's more of an anomaly if you don't have a digital presence. Yeah. But as far as platforms that have worked best for us, again, anything where we can showcase a video is always going to generate tons of engagements. Like we are always way above the the average impression rate on platforms like TikTok, like Snapchat, YouTube advertising. Those seem to work out the best because a lot of the times when people see an ad, they either just scroll right past it or they just can't wait to click that skip button after the 5 seconds is up. Where with us, there's a lot of the time where they're like, man, this is cool. Like, even if I have zero interest in coming to iSmash, I'm just going to watch this video because this is exciting and unique. And maybe they won't ever go to iSmash, but maybe when they're talking to their sister, they'll say, oh yeah, I saw this iSmash place. It's crazy. You go in there and break things. Saw it on YouTube. Like, it's just that type of stuff. But definitely platforms that you can showcase video content on have worked out the best for us.
Yeah. Have any discounts or promotions played a role in your strategy, or do you avoid that because you see enough demand?
Yeah, we're constantly running discounts and promotions on social media, again, just because we want to attribute that back to the advertising. We also have pretty aggressive weekly promotions that they're just recurring. They run every week. But yeah, definitely try to lean into any kind of promotion. I think that's becoming, again, an industry norm, always having some kind of offer or discount.
Yeah. Is there anything specific you can share that works best for you? I know we've tested, for example, a hard dollar off versus percentage, and oftentimes just a hard dollar off performs better than percentages. Have you guys played around with different types and what works well?
The percentage definitely seems to work best for us. So one of the things that's really worked well is, so we're definitely more of a weekend business. That's when the majority of the customers, the revenue comes in. So we have pretty aggressive promotions throughout the week. And I changed these up probably 5 or 6 different times. And on each day of the weekday, people can come in and get 50% off a certain experience. And that is a really compelling offer for people to want to come into the doors on those days. and it's really helped propel our store's performance during the weekdays, is having those 50% off promos. And I know people might hear it and say, man, like 50% off, that's so much to be giving away. But the thing is, for us, our activities are so high margin. Usually the biggest loss for us is not having filled rooms and activity areas. So getting people in there during the weekdays, even if it's at a heavy discount, it's still going to end up being a net positive for us.
Yeah, that's awesome. As we come to the end of our time here, I definitely want to ask you about the hot topic on everyone's brain, which is AI. So curious, just your take on what's happening with that, how you guys are thinking about it at iSmash or implementing or approaching.
Yeah, absolutely. You're definitely talking to the right person because I always joke around with this too, is I would have definitely been a technologist in another life had I not done iSmash. So we are leaning into it heavily. We have a lot of really cool stuff in the works just as far as support for our franchisees in terms of AI. I think any business that is not adopting it, leaning into it, is going to fall behind. I know it's so cliche because everyone says that. If you're not leveraging, using it, you're going to fall behind. But I really do think that it is true. And I actually don't think it's in franchising nearly what it is in other industries. There is a huge opportunity on all fronts for vendors, for franchisors, for franchisees to really leverage and lean into it to their advantage. Because again, this is an industry that really has not been penetrated by AI at all. So I know that we're working on a couple of AI tools and things that we're pretty excited about. We've already leaned into it with multiple different things in our company, and it's coming. It's already here.
Yeah. Are you able to share some of those things? Are they on the operations front, marketing front, system-wide?
Yeah, I'll share a pretty cool one. And this was collaborative. This wasn't just with me, but I'm helping a company build an AI tool that it basically analyzes all of the data of your franchise business, and it has tons of other context. It has all of your manuals. It interviews franchisees beforehand, but it's like your data coach of, okay, how do I improve this franchise business based on the data of the system? Where am I going wrong here? What are the high performers doing that I'm not doing? And really the whole goal is for someone to have a very in-depth coach that has access to all the data and analytics for the whole system that can tell a franchise owner, like, hey, your cost per customer acquisition is way too high, or hey, your Google ads are in the bottom 10% of the system, or you're not getting enough impressions on your TikTok ads, whatever it is. And it's still in early stages of development, but it is a super cool tool. And we're definitely excited to roll it out to our franchise owners.
That is very cool and awesome. And I think I've heard of a few other brands attempting to go that route in terms of support from the home office to answer questions. But you guys, it sounds like, are going that next step to really like coach on the info. And I'm also curious, so if you have this agent or tool, do you guys actually pair it with a franchise coach, a home office for questions if they can self-serve use it? How do you guys think about franchisees actually using the tool?
Yeah, it would definitely be used in conjunction with members of our team. Actually, the way that we're going to be building it out is that we do monthly reports of all of their data and analytics. And what we're actually thinking of doing is that they don't even have to go into the tool. The tool itself will know, okay, it's the end of the month. I'm going to pull all of this data for the franchisee, and I'm going to send them an in-depth email of suggestions, things that they're doing well, that they can improve on, and the corporate team will actually be on that email. And part of that message will say, hey, if you want to schedule a call with us to discuss further, let us know. And we're all on that email chain. So that's the way that we're thinking about it right now. And we're probably a few months of actually rolling it out. We did a trial test run, and it seemed to have worked, and we're definitely excited for it.
That's super cool. I love that example. Well, Steven, this was such an awesome convo, but before we break, is there anything that you wish we would have touched on or I asked you that I didn't?
I wouldn't say particularly. I think that maybe the one thing is that from other franchisors and people that are in the industry, the question that I get more than anything is, how are you selling so many franchises? What is it about iSmash that is, I think that we've touched on it, but there are several factors that I think really do weigh heavily, which is, again, we are definitely an exciting brand. We stand out. And I think that the issue that a lot of other brands have, and again, it's not to offend them, it's just the line of business that they're in, but they're just not exciting. People see them on a directory with 20 or 30 other franchises on the same page, and they just scroll right over it. It's just not something that people notice. You're just hidden. And again, you could say that's because you have this crazy concept that no one's franchised and it's so new. But I think that people should really think about ways that they can differentiate themselves to franchise buyers, especially when they see an initial listing. And it could just be like something like, hey, we have a proprietary lead gen tech, or hey, like our customer acquisition cost is 50% lower than an industry average. Something that is a big differentiator for people to just get them to take the first step, because a lot of franchise marketing and just franchise sales in general is just about volume. There's a lot of franchise seekers out there, and getting enough people in front of you that are interested in taking the next steps is how you're going to grow your brand and grow your business. So I think that's, if people can have one takeaway, it's how to make whatever brand or concept you're selling more intriguing or more exciting to the average buyer just looking on a franchise directory.
Yeah, to your earlier point too, that reminds me of how do you bottle the emotion as well. So for iSmash, for example, like that experience, that emotion of the brand, you can capture and bottle well. But that doesn't mean that if you're a home services or not necessarily sexy, you can still bottle of an emotion of, okay, I'm a new entrepreneur, but I want to feel confidence. I want to feel ease of running and feeling in command of my business. Like you can get creative on what that emotion you're bottling to match the differentiator and how you're going out there like you're talking about, which I think really brings those two things together of the logic behind the decision you're making, but then powered with the emotion where you bottle that feeling.
Yeah, I think that's totally true. Most businesses are not exciting inherently, but there are certain things that you can make. It's more about making people excited about the opportunity than having an exciting brand. Like, what is it about, if you were to pitch somebody your franchise offering in 2 minutes, what can you say that's going to excite them to the point where they want to learn more? And I think that's just where brands fail, is when they have that opportunity to pitch, passively pitch on all these different listings, and they're in a broker's network. What is really compelling people to say, I want to learn more about that, and not these other 7 concepts that I came across.
Yeah, and absolutely do not scale until you have that. I've heard of a few brands who have been smart when they start with their 2 corporate locations, test that, make sure they have it nailed, actually failed, which is never fun. Like you want to get to the growing and scaling stage, but actually stopped, went back, like repackaged, reworked their offering, and then finally were able to go to market because they knew they had that piece nailed.
Yeah, and I think that goes along with other things, is you want to make sure that your unit economics are there. If people don't think that they can make money and you can't prove that they can make money, then you're going to have a very difficult time selling a franchise. Same with your current franchisees. If most of your current franchisees are unhappy, and someone digs through your FDD to contact existing owners and they are not saying good things, that is probably like almost the number one deal killer, is talking to franchisees. And the most important question that you have to ask is, would you do this all over again, knowing what you know now? And if the answer to that question is no, you should seriously think about whether or not you should buy into that brand.
Yes, very wise words. Steven, thank you so much for joining us today, and thanks to everyone who listened in to another episode of The Art of Franchise Marketing.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
Awesome.
Thanks for listening to The Art of Franchise Marketing. This show is brought to you by NetSertive. We help franchise brands and multi-location businesses run localized digital marketing at scale. To learn more, visit netsertive.com.